Welcome to Staying Uncomfortable. My name is Kyvin. In this episode, I sit down with Ted from Chicago Comb Company. We talked about how do you develop a mindset to work with your business partner and a best friend to be able to have two different relationships, a personal relationship and a business relationship. We all seen it, we all heard it, that a lot of time when you do business with your friend isn't the greatest thing, but Ted continues to prove this theory wrong. What I love about Ted is that he's always looking to help other people out. So Ted, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge. Thank you for allowing me to share your story and the story about Chicago Combs.
So I'd love to know about your journey on how this whole entire company got started and how you actually came about starting Chicago Combs.
Absolutely. So the journey really started in 2010.
Okay.
My best friend John and I, lifelong friends, we actually met in junior high, in guitar class. We always wanted to develop a company. And so we always talked about, let's build a product one day that's of a place. And being from Chicago, we wanted to create something that spoke to the being from Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
And the question is, when you're an entrepreneur sometimes, is what is that? What kind of product can you launch? And so one day, after we got established in our careers, John was an attorney at a law firm,
Okay.
He partnered at a law firm. I was doing product development work. We were at this condo that he had bought, and he was looking around at all the metal fixtures at this condo. And a lot of the metal work was done in Chicago.
Okay.
Precision metal work, beautiful work. And so we thought, what can we do on the consumer side to bring part of that heritage of Chicago to a product that people can use every day? And so we're like, what about bringing back the comb? And bring it back in a way that really resonates with people, that it elevates the comb from just a throwaway commodity product to one that people love using. So like a style accessory, a grooming accessory, thoughtful design, thoughtful materials. So from that 2010 standpoint, we started to learn the trade of building the combs and the craft of metalworking for about a year.
Is that something like the comb itself, right? Like, is that something you had like passion before? Is that something you guys thought about it, or just like something you wanted to explore and find to create something?
Yeah. Well, for me, I always had a beard growing up, especially during the cold winter months in Chicago. Having a beard and having a good tool to kind of tame the beard. So maybe, we thought we have something that could be a heirloom product. So that kind of goes back to like talking about what could that be. And we thought, well, back in the day, there were these combs primarily in Sweden that were punched out. My grandfather was actually from Sweden.
Okay.
But they weren't really properly finished. And for us, we wanted to kind of bring something in Chicago and make it in Chicago that spoke to the place. And so the comb really resonated for us because it seemed it had an essence of like steel and the titanium of the structures in Chicago and the skyscraper. So that initially the thought process wasn't the comb the first thought we had? Well, we were looking at a lot of different ideas, but when we landed on the comb, we're like, let's bring that back. Let's bring the comb back in a way that's meaningful.
Yeah.
And then we got really excited about it, both for the beard and also for the hair comb as well.
So how did you actually start studying? Because it's an art itself, something that you were working at a corporation before doing product development, and transitioning into something that you've never developed before.
Yeah.
How did that all work and play?
Well, hands down, that could be an overwhelming process for anybody. And for me, I had always developed things online in terms of product development. So the idea of taking an idea and making it into a physical product, maybe these new carbon fiber combs or the metal combs, it is daunting at first. And there wasn't a handbook of how to make premier, artisan, handcrafted, machine-finished metal combs, because they weren't around. Mm-hmm. And so we were really the first ones to do that, modern metal hair combs. And so it was all trial and error. And with that, it becomes a lot of anxiety, going through all the paces and figuring out how you want to get it done.
Yeah.
There's not really a blueprint, so you're creating the blueprint, and you're a part of the blueprint. And that's exciting, it's exhilarating, you get very anxious around it as well. And it can be daunting at times, in terms of like, can we execute on something that we have this vision for, but how will it resonate with people?
Yeah.
And how can we establish the value of elevating the comb when for years, it had been kind of like a side thing. Maybe people put it in a duffel bag or a travel bag. but they didn't really think about the comb.
Yeah, I mean, I think about it, right, in a way where, like, I have, hair, right? So it's like, I like to comb, but I never thought about, like, I should actually go and invest into a proper comb.
Yeah.
But based on your research and knowledge, there's definitely a purpose behind actually having a proper comb.
Absolutely. And as we were researching just different materials, we recognized metal was great because anti-static, durable material, but also from the what it does for you. Combing's great in terms of massaging the scalp, providing the oxygen and actually the opportunity for the hair to grow properly, and also spreading the natural scalp oil in your hair, evenly putting pomade, and for the beard, taking a really great beard oil and actually using a comb to distribute it evenly, all the natural vitamins and minerals that are healthy for your beard as well. So for us, we're like really excited. We get to create something that people love using, give it something that more of like a heirloom status that they can even pass down, but then also use it that actually makes their grooming routine fun, and it's good for them as well.
One thing I want to ask you is that when you were actually going through this whole entire journey, right?
Yeah.
How did you deal with, because there's always that failure. There's always that pressure of, and especially when you have family, right? You have 2 kids, you're married, and when you have that pressure, how do you deal with something, right? A lot of people get anxiety. A lot of people are so, in today's world, everybody wants quick results. Yeah. Everybody wants quick success.
You're absolutely right. And that period of making that transition, it's a lot. It's a lot to think about, and it's big for entrepreneurs to think about. But for me, I recognized in my business partner, John, that we had this idea that we wanted to elevate this everyday use object. And so we were so passionate about it, but we thought about, hey, we're leaving 2 great careers, and we're starting a comb company. We're jumping into something, and we're doing it full tilt. And that does provide a lot of anxiety. And we try to explain the process of, hey, we're telling friends and family, hey, we're looking to do a comb company. When my business partner was a successful lawyer, I had an established career in the technology field and product development, and people were like, until they visually saw the combs and visually saw the idea and got to see it in retailers, they're like, well, hold off. This might be a good idea. And that as an entrepreneur can really put the brakes on a lot of ideas. But for me, I was so confident that one, I had found the right partner to do this business with. And number 2, we had the right business idea in terms of taking a comb, making it a heritage product, heirloom product, a cool product that people can use. And then also that we found a product that we landed an idea that really spoke to Chicago. And that, for us, Chicago Comb Company, the fact that it you look at the steel, titanium, the building structures here, the skyscraper, the birthplace of the first modern skyscraper is in Chicago. And now we were able to do something the first in Chicago and bring the first modern metal hair comb. And to get to the point where, to overcome that anxiety and elevate it and to reach a point where it's actually been sold in retailers and customers in over 70 countries, extremely gratifying. But that initial hurdle, it is a big task to overcome. And it's scary. Yeah. It's scary.
How did you tell your wife that you're doing this transition and going to start making combs?
Yeah, well, exactly. Well, it wasn't like a one-day thing. Yeah. And I think for any entrepreneur, they should feel that passion and fuel their idea. For us, we were doing it part-time initially. Yeah. But it started to get to where it was connecting with people in a very meaningful way. Our products were. We saw it kind of organically growing. But that doesn't make it easier. No. When you make that decision, that you're going to do this full time, and you're jumping in feet first. And for us, we had started to build a foundation, which is important. But that doesn't alleviate any of the pressure or the strain of saying, hey, we're doing this full time now. Yeah. But when you make that decision, it's important that you're clear and you're articulate with your vision, and that you have a good support network. And I think. My wife knew how passionate we were about building the world's finest combs here in Chicago. She loved the idea, and she was a great resource for me for overcoming that anxiety and being a great voice of what this could be, and a voice of confidence as well, which is great to have.
What were some of the tools or exercises that you that you personally did, or you recommend other people that when you're starting off something, and when you're in that rug of the dark side that, oh my God, what have I done? What are certain things that, you recommend to people that, that has sort of helped you or worked towards you?
Well, be a sponge. Whatever your category or interest, try to find out whatever, as much as information as possible before you launch the product. Understand the space that you're entering in. And, for me, do something that's unique.
Yeah.
Offer something that's not out there. Do something that's authentic. Because if you don't, and you're just trying to be another iteration of another company, or another voice of a company, or just trying to be a copy of a company, then that will come across. You won't have the passion for it. It won't get you excited. And at the end of the day, it won't fuel that passion that you need to do something first. Mm-hmm. And people will recognize that. And part of the exhilaration of being an entrepreneur is having that, hey, we're entering a category and we have a unique value proposition, which sounds very daunting to come to that point.
Yeah.
But when you get to that point, it's like, okay, I've got this idea. Now I want to make it the best possible. I want to connect with my customers in a meaningful way. I want to make this product the best product it can be. And I want to provide all the energy that I can to make it work.
Yeah.
So be a sponge, be authentic, and really do something that's unique and that can really stand above and beyond what's already out there, because you deserve it. As an entrepreneur, you deserve to put all your energy and passion into something that's unique.
How's your relationship with John, your business partner?
It's great, and I think you have to find somebody that complements your skill sets. For me, product development, product marketing, understanding what's meaningful for our customers, paramount. It's really, really important. For him, he has a great operational mindset, great understanding of product design as well, mm-hmm. and I think our skill sets just really blend well together. But you got to have frank conversations and not pull any punches.
We were talking about this earlier, that I think it's one of the advantages of having a great partner in business is that you should be able to not sugarcoat things and really be able to be radical candor and be able to express your feelings and be able to tell them something without sugarcoating it.
Hands down. And for me, I've known him since we walked into a guitar class in 7th and 8th grade at O'Neill Junior High School, and from day one we've just had an open relationship. So we can have days where we discuss. We have days where we bicker. We have days that are great. We laugh, but the next day we're great.
Yeah.
And because we're rowing in the same boat, and we want this business to be successful, but we want to create something meaningful for our customers, for our retailers, and for ourselves and our family to be really proud of.
Yeah. Can you explain your feeling when you actually went from an idea to creating your first comb?
Yeah. It is an amazing, exhilarating feeling when you go through the whole process of building a prototype and getting it exactly where you need it to be. One of the great things as well about my business partner is he's extremely detail-oriented on all of our products. Everything we do is done to a certain expectation and standard. Yeah. And so when we're developing the product and it was starting to get to that point, it's the best feeling in the world because it's something that you visualized and you thought about and you dreamt about, and now you're actually seeing it out either at a retailer. You're seeing people use it. You're seeing people repost about it and talking about it, and eventually having somewhat of a community where you feel kinship towards. And that is the best feeling in the world. And then also, there's also times when your product's used at a wedding, a birthday gift, corporate gifts, anniversary, and you're part of these special events, maybe custom engraved, or things that we're doing for these big events that are huge events in people's lives, and we're a part of it. And if that doesn't get you excited as an entrepreneur, then you probably should be an entrepreneur. Just saying.
No, for sure. So let's dive into the education. So when I thought about partnering up with you guys, and one of the reasons was that I started doing my research, and was like, I want to work with the best in the class when it comes to the comb, because I don't know anything about combs, right? And I want to be able to work with somebody who has the most amount of knowledge. And I came to you, and you've been, by the way, nothing but amazing and helpful in this journey of mine in the personal care and grooming category. And I want to be able to share this education with the world that you have over the last 8 years now about creating comb, where you had a vision and now you are a successful brand, probably number one brand when it comes to combs here in the States, and really want to understand like what it goes into creating all this arts and craft within the comb and why different combs does what.
Absolutely. So there are a couple things. So we look at the material first, and then we'll also talk about the finish. So we've got a couple combs here as well. I think I can show you. One, this is a black titanium comb.
Okay.
So it's really the same finish that you would actually have in a high-end watch, premium watch. But what's really important for this is that looking at material, this comb's great because it's durable, it's light, it's titanium. But when we actually finish it, it's all hand and machine finished here in Chicago. So you have nice rounded tips, it's smooth all the way across, and so you feel that across the board. So as you're combing, so as you're combing, you have the opportunity to see how it actually goes across the hair, but then also looking at the different tines as well. So you asked about how the comb is actually used. So understand people's hair. If someone have thinner hair, maybe they need a finer tooth comb. If they have really thick hair, maybe a wider tooth comb could be an option. But for us, it's starting off with the titanium. It's extremely light, durable, anti-static, and those are all principles and properties and finished properly where it kind of glides through your hair.
Yeah.
And the same thing with our heritage steel combs as well. This is a black steel comb, and then also different finishes like, for example, sorry about that. Like this is a mirror finish. Mm-hmm. So we really only want to do a high polish mirror finish, ultra smooth. You can see your reflection in it as well.
So question, no knowledge here, but I want to understand, how do you actually decide the space between each of this, tooth?
Absolutely. So looking at time spacing and how it actually gets tapered is looking at the end results, how it's actually being used. For example, we have this brand new carbon fiber comb just coming out this spring. Mm-hmm. This is more of a medium to fine space comb.
Okay.
So this traditionally will work in a wide range of different hairstyles. So this comb design specifically is great because you can use it for your beard, and we have this functional handle, which is our own design patent that we have for this comb, but also for your hair as well. So we look at how it's actually being used and the application for it as well. Another example is if someone has really, really thick beard, really curly, having something that's a wide tooth comb as an option.
And how do you go about selecting the material? So, for example, right, somebody who's got no knowledge, I would be like, since I've been growing out my beard, I could use this comb. But in your world, you might be like, no, well, for your beard, it's not the right comb because you probably need something smaller or something like that. How does one actually figure out which is the right comb for that?
Well, definitely. That's a great question. So you have to understand the beard structure. Like, do you have thinner hair? Is it thicker hair? Understand personal preference as well. Do you like to have a little more coverage when you comb your hair? So this comb's great in terms of coverage, in terms of getting a wider range of both shaping as well as detangling and combing the hair as well. It's great about this material, but in particular our new comb, the carbon fiber, is that it's extremely durable. So it kind of replicates the great qualities we have in steel and titanium, but as a composite comb, has all the benefits of carbon fiber, anti-static, heat resistant, the durability aspect. Those are some of the functional material things you should consider when you're looking at a comb. But it maintains the strength. What's great about this material in particular is that carbon fiber is a new kind of luxury material, and the fact that it's used in high-end sporting goods, it's used in yachts, it's used in luxury vehicles, it's used in aerospace. So we were the first ones to do the American-made carbon fiber composite comb because we wanted to extend that level of detail that we have with our steel and our titanium to a material that also is very durable and everyday use.
Okay. One of the questions that I have is that, as I was doing a little bit of research learning about combs, there's wood one, there's plastic, there's the materials that you talked about. How do you decide which is the right one to go with?
Well, absolutely. And I'll go by category here.
Okay.
Just in terms of some of that education. If you look at plastic, you have to look at top-of-line material. If you don't know where the material actually comes from, it could be sketchy chemicals that are in that. You're not quite sure. Okay. Typically, a lot of the low-grade dollar store plastic combs will scratch your head. They're very sharp. They're not good for your hair. They'll break your hair.
Okay.
So look for material. Some combs that are in the marketplace right now are cellulose acetate that have been finished. Those can be good. Those can potentially warp as well. That's why for us we wanted to come up with the carbon fiber composite comb, because it has that smoothness of some of the combs that are out there, but it also is heat resistant, chemical resistant, all those things that are really good. So look for a high quality material that's properly finished. On the wood front, don't go for like a cheap, kind of plywood that's going to snap in half, especially if you have really thick hair. It's not going to do anybody any good. And you also look at the wood, how it's actually finished. We don't have wood comb here, but is it finished across here? Is it finished around the tines? How is it actually constructed? Is it doing more harm than good?
Okay.
Look at reviews when it comes to that.
I don't think, sorry, but I don't think a lot of people actually look at any of this stuff. They just literally, I think it's a price point and it's a convenience factor, right?
Yeah.
But I sitting here and hearing you talk about this, it's now it's well, if you're picking out a watch, right? Like Rolex, right?
Yeah.
There's a reason why Rolex is so expensive, the craft behind making the Rolex itself.
You're 100% right. 100%. And you really have to understand that material, the finish, and where the material is coming from. You should be confident in all three phases when it comes to that. So our category we started off, our heritage we know a lot about is metal combs, right? Mm-hmm. So we were the first ones to create the modern metal comb. So for us, we know what works and what doesn't work in that category above and beyond anything else. And for us, if you see a comb that's kind of punched out, so if you look at a comb like this, it's all crafted here so it's perfectly round, so it glides through the hair. Also here, that's nice and smooth, that's broken down properly.
Yeah.
If it's a comb where you're not really sure it's manufactured or how it's made, and it's metal, it could be punched out, you don't know where the material comes from. Similar to the issue with cheap plastic combs. Yeah. It can do more harm than good. You should do in every object that you know how it's built, the finish of the comb, the material where it comes from, and what are some of the attributes that are positive that you can use every day. Because otherwise, you might have more of instead of it being a nice, smooth experience that glides through your hair, or one that actually is good for the scalp, you might create more issues for the scalp, and you might rip your hair and everything else too. So it's really important to look at how it's actually finished.
How long does it take you guys to really, come up with the idea or design of a comb and actually producing it and manufacturing? Because people see the end results. They don't see the blood, the sweat, the time that has gone making behind something.
Yeah. Well, initially, we had talked a little bit earlier about when we first started the craft, and it took us a whole year of really getting the expertise for how we wanted to finish the combs. And that was going through iterations for how we hand finish the combs, how we metal finish, what kind of equipment, all those things that kind of go into that kind of the secret sauce, so to speak, that we have that knowledge of. Mm-hmm. And it's similar to the space of this composite comb, for example. A whole lot of research. We wanted to do something on that was American made, that we understood we can design, that was best in class, that people can be confident about using, that was the best material possible. And that research in itself takes a long time. And you cannot cut corners. You cannot just phone it in, or just, you got to make sure that every single part of the process, you're thinking about the end consumer who's using the comb. And really that, functionally how it's actually going. So we look at material, we look at finish, but even the handle. How is the handle helping you use the comb? Is it? I mean, it should. Yeah. And it's also, you should have a little fun, when you use the comb. So you can use it like this for your hair. So looking at all those design aesthetics, for us, modern design was key. Having something that's a really cool accessory. We have the good fortune of selling our combs here in the United States, but also over the world. And we have great partners and retail partners even in Russia and other countries. And it's become a cool style accessory to have, like with the Horween leather sheaths, to have and to really elevate the comb. It's not just I've got a comb that's a throwaway product. Yeah. It's like, no, I have this really cool comb. I love using it every day. Hair looks great. It's good for the scalp. It's great for your beard. It's promoting good beard growth, good hair growth, and it's fun to use.
Which one is your favorite?
I'm kind of partial to. I love our titanium, our black titanium, both the number 1 and the number 3 comb. It's just so cool. It's just a cool comb. But I also love, like looking at the new carbon fiber combs. I love the number 6 because you have like the wide tooth and the fine teeth for shaping and sculpting. But I always have a soft spot for our number 1. It's our first one. And so if it's mirror finish, matte finish, classic, if it's a black finish that we have on it, titanium, I just brings a smile on my face to look at this comb, because this is something that we have a patent on a comb, which you think a comb, a unique comb design. We did it. We got a patent on a comb design, and I just love it. And you look at any material, maybe a mirror finish, a matte, carbon fiber, titanium.
Yeah.
I love it all. I mean, I love the number one a lot. So
I'm going to transition here and ask you some other questions that I'm very curious to know. So when you first started off, right? How did you start acquiring customers? Like, what were some of your tips and tricks that you thought that, holy cow, I never thought that I would be able to sell a comb like this?
Definitely. And that goes back to our earlier conversation of the fear factor.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I've got this great idea. Now I've got to talk to people about it in a way that hopefully resonates. And especially on the retail side. You're not sure when you're launching something that's brand new that hasn't been done, how are people going to react to it? So we actually found some local retailers here in Chicago, Mertz Apothecary, one of the best apothecaries in the world, in our backyard. And I literally went to the owner and showed them the prototype. They actually were looking for something very similar to that. They loved the design. They loved the story. They loved that it was being made a couple miles away from their actual retail shop. I mean, how cool is that?
Yeah.
And but going to that first meeting, I had my coat on. I was like, I hope this goes well. I normally don't sweat, but I was like, hopefully I don't think this is a bad idea. Combing my hair a little extra that day. And they liked it, and from there it kind of snowballs. And you have to feed that passion and believe in it. And then there's going to be bumps in the road. Let's be honest. As entrepreneurs, you're going to have to kind of recalibrate at times. And especially when you're making a crafted product and making other products that are new in a category. But that should be part of the excitement. And you should learn to embrace that process, because getting over that initial hurdle is huge. It's like doing a hurdles race when you go through all the hurdles, right?
Yep.
But at the end, you're running towards the finish line. Just getting that point.
Yeah.
That's it. But the realization is that those are all great experiences. Being humbled as an entrepreneur is a beautiful thing.
I personally think it's all about connecting. Like, if you and I never connected, like, we wouldn't be here having this conversation. I think It's about connecting and really being able to say, how can we help the world itself by creating something amazing and being able to. I personally think everybody is always on the run to, like, get the results, but nobody wants to go through the whole entire journey. Yeah. And speaking of the journey part of it, when was in your career with Chicago Comb, right, Ted? When did you actually realize that, hey, I think now it's happening? I can feel it. I can sense it. Did you have that moment, like, when you're like, holy shit, like, it's happening now? Well,
for us, it's when we started to get not only just here in the United States, but also internationally.
Okay.
They were getting orders from, like, Japan. We were getting orders from different countries, both on the retail side and the customers, that I'm like, okay, this is actually having a meaningful connection with people across the world. Or we get emails saying, hey, I'm stationed in Malaysia, but I use your comb and I'm from Chicago, or I'm from Schauberg and Chicagoland area, and it reminds you a little bit of home. That's when I kind of knew that, hey, this is kind of catching on in a way that people really like. And I think people want to know where products are actually made and the story behind them and the owners. Yeah. But that also speaks to the relationship aspect. You mentioned about creating meaningful relationships and partnerships, and our connection right off the bat, talking about Glider and Chicago Comb, similar philosophies of creating great products but meaningful connections with customers. And that to me is really important, because that gets you excited about growing the business. And I think as an entrepreneur, you want to kind of connect in a way that you want to surround yourself with people that want you to succeed, right? And want you to do things that are really unique in the marketplace. So,
how many rejections did you get before you got a yes?
Wow. Well, we were lucky on the first couple of pitches because they did like it.
Yeah.
But we had a lot of no's, or a lot of, like, not really sure about the value right off the bat the first year, because, like, a lot of retailers would be like, go through hundreds of places and say, well, we've never really sold that before. Yeah. And that is the education process. But success begets more success. So when you actually have people that buy into the understanding and the vision, then it becomes a little bit easier. But it isn't a full Zoom. Yeah. Most of the time. there are exceptions to the rule. But for us, you see the first 100 folks that say, well, maybe not. But then you have people that understand the vision, and then those become your partners in growing the business. Mm-hmm. And we see that on the retail side. We see that on the customer side as well. So the answer is maybe the first couple pitches went really well because we really understood those retailers. But we hear a lot of people that, whoa, a metal comb? Not quite sure, but we hadn't really seen it before.
Yeah.
And that first year or two, a lot of those. And then as it became more and more popular, then you see people that were kind of replicating the idea. And then you see like a marketplace. You're like, wow, we created a marketplace of people making metal combs. Some really good, some not so good.
Yeah.
And so that's what happens when you're the first of doing something. Yeah. So, but for me, being involved in product development, product marketing, the nose will really get you to that more important yes, and it gets you where you need to be as a business, and not getting the point where you're not afraid of it anymore.
Yeah.
So you embrace it.
So one last thing, right? Not sure who's gonna watch this at any given point in their life, right?
Sure.
Internet, anything, right?
Yeah.
When they watch this, what's that one message that you want to leave the audience with, right? It doesn't matter where they are in their life. They might be in the corporate world. They might be trying to figure out coming out from a dark place or whatever it is.
Yeah.
What's that one message that you want to leave the audience here with today? Is something that comes, from you and your brand, your company.
Well, definitely. I mean, that's for me, that message would be, you have the power within to elevate whatever you want in life. And pursue it. Get beyond that first initial no, because that first initial no isn't usually coming from the outside. It's usually coming from yourself. So if you get over beyond that and elevate your idea, elevate what you want to do in life, and elevate your surrounding in a very positive direction, good things will happen. And you should do that, and everyone should find that passion, because I firmly believe that. So elevate whatever you're doing in life and find that kind of core essence about what gets you excited, because it's a gift, and everyone deserves it.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's Ted from Chicago Comb Company. Ted, thank you so much for being here. It was a pleasure having you.
Absolute pleasure.
Learning so much about combs, and I cannot wait to share this with the world here. And I would love for you to leave a mark on this amazing wall of mine.